This will be to show that rubber matting keeps your horse disconnected from the earth. So if they are in a barn and you have rubber matting, it disconnects them from the earth and they don't get grounding benefits. Hi everybody. My last video was about grounding and horses and something new that I've been doing with my horses, studying wetting the ground in their pens for extra grounding benefits. And I'm going to do a little experiment here today, and I have my grounding rod and we need a little water. I've already wet the ground, but I just stuck my ground rod in the ground and just poured some water in it because you have to have some wetness for conductivity. So the reason I was using my grounding rod is because I can put it right here and it's a little bit easier. I do have an extension cord that I could plug in over there, which we might experiment with that too. But for this video, we're using the ground rod, the continuity tester. This will be to show that rubber matting keeps your horse disconnected from the earth. So if they are in a barn and you have rubber matting, it disconnects them from the earth and they don't get grounding benefits. We're going to turn our tester on, and right now he's on the rubber mats and I'm on the rubber mats too, and I also have rubber sole shoes, and you can see that it's not lighting up, right? I'm going to touch where I put the water for the grounding rod. See how that lights up? So even though I have rubber sole shoes on and I'm on the mat, my hand is actually on the ground touching it. So touch, untouch. Okay, that's similar to the last video where I put my feet on the wet sand. So I don't feel like taking my shoes and socks off right now, so I use my hands. So I am not grounded. So see on this, you put your finger on the back. I'm not grounded because I'm on the rubber mats and I have my rubber sole shoes on. So if I'm not grounded but I touch something that's grounded, this will light up. We're gonna see if he's grounded since he's on the rubber mats. I found one of the best places to test is like right under their tails on their butt cheeks where there's not really that much hair. And I'm going to lick my fingers because it'll happen faster if he is grounded. That doesn't change anything whether he's grounded or not. It just makes it happen faster if he is. Otherwise you have to wait a little bit to see the light. So I'm going to touch right here, right under his tail, and you can see he's not grounded because that light would come on. Even though I'm the one with my finger on the thing, if I touch something that's grounded, the light's gonna come on. So he's on rubber mats. So now we're gonna bring him out here on the sand and see what happens. Okay, so here we are. So green light's not on, I'm not grounded. Well, you can test on the hair. You just have to kind of wet it a little bit. Okay. Okay, watch this. Can you see it? Let's get just a little bit closer. Quit, hey! That's not nice. See how it lights up? I'm touching his neck. So even though I have rubber sole shoes on, he's grounded. His feet are on the sand. So touch, untouch, touch, untouch. So, come here. I'm going to take him back over and show you guys something else. And I just want to show you guys, I'm going to touch him the same place on the neck. So I'm going to turn this on. You'll see a little beep. That means that it's on. I'm going to touch with my finger. And you can see I'm not grounded. And I'm going to wet my fingers again. I touched him the same place on the neck and it didn't light up because he's on the rubber mat. So I'm going to show you again from this way. Okay, not grounded. I wet it just like I did out there in the sand and still not grounded. So he's not grounded on the mats. So one of the benefits of grounding, it reduces anxiety. So if you have a horse that's in the barn on rubber mats and they are anxious, it could be because they're not getting enough grounding time. Since I made my first video, I've been playing around with the sand. And like I said, we usually don't get any rain. We don't get a lot of rain here during the summertime. The other day though, or I should say last week, we got like a few days of rain, so the ground is wet. And experimenting today, the ground is still kind of wet underneath the surface. So even though the surface sand is dry, if you're just touching the surface sand, you won't be grounded. I started playing around with putting my hand, you know, deeper, and it did actually ground. So with horses, you have to think of horses, they weigh a lot more than I do. So their feet, when they walk, they go deeper in the sand. So they are actually getting more grounding benefit than somebody that's lighter walking on the dry sand. But like I said, we got a few days worth of rain, so the underneath surface is still kind of wet. So I'll be experimenting as the days go on and the ground gets drier as to how far down you have to go to be grounded and to see if they're still getting grounding effects. When I took him out there in the sand, him just walking and moving the sand, his foot was touching the earth and the moist part, and that's why he was showing that he was grounded. So I'm going to experiment with, you know, if we go a few more days with just like sun and no rain, how dry the earth gets. Because I think the more sun we get, the drier it gets, the deeper you have to go in order to hit that moisture. That's where I think the benefit of wetting the sand comes into play, so your horses get more grounding. It's really just about how deep the moisture is in the sand. Grass is really good to ground on because it's usually more moist than Nevada desert sand. So it just depends on where you live, what your surroundings are. So this video actually shows that being on a rubber mat is not grounding. So like I said, if you have a horse that seems a little more anxious, it could be because they're on a rubber mat too much of the day. So that would be one reason why it's important to turn your horses out to get their hooves on the actual earth. Another thing you can do is use grounding products with them. And I've tried with him before where you just unhook this and then this goes on a grounding product. So I've actually put a patch on him. I put it on right under his tail where there's no hair, and then I put some vet wrap around it to hold the patch in place, and I tested him and he was grounded. So you can do that. You can use grounding products too, like the patches, if they have you know, a muscle that's sore or a joint that maybe has arthritis in it, because the grounding, another benefit of grounding is it reduces inflammation. And if you don't have inflammation, you can't have pain. So pain actually comes from inflammation in the body. So grounding is one way to reduce the inflammation in your body. And since I've been grounding, when I wake up in the mornings now, my back isn't stiff anymore. My lower back used to be stiff a lot of the times, and now it's not stiff anymore, and I feel better. So I'm pretty sure it would work the same way with horses. So if you have a horse that has something going on, either more outside time, more pasture time, if they're in a barn, or you can use grounding products. And I'm going to show you the patches in just a minute. So this is actually what one of the patches looks like. And this is the one I used on him before under his tail. So this has a little metal piece and a a little bit of gel for like a conductor, which you don't really need that. It still works. I would show you how it works, but I don't have a second cord to put it on the patch and then to test it. So, but basically I have another cord like this. So this just snaps onto the snap, and then this would go wherever you would want it to go. The only bad thing is, like, if you're doing it like on a shoulder or something, you would have to hold it. You could also hold a grounding mat on it, and it's the sweat and the moisture that, once it starts to heat up, is what makes it conductive. And then it, if this was plugged into another cord, the green light would be lighting up. But like I said, I don't have another cord to do the two of them at the same time. I should have brought a second cord, but I wasn't thinking I was going to do this. But yeah, so, you know, if you wanted to do the neck, you could probably put some vet wrap around the neck to hold it in place so you wouldn't have to stand here holding it. The best way, though, is just to, you know, ground them in the pasture or their pens or the grass. The best way is always feet on the earth or hands on the earth, and same with your horses. But like I said, if you want some extra or more specific grounding benefits, you could use the patches. You can use a mat. They even have like wristbands with the metal conductor. These are just some ideas and some things that I'm experimenting with. Anyway, the main purpose of this video was to show that if your horse is on rubber mats, that they aren't grounded. So since I made and posted the first video, I wanted to experiment a little bit more just to show you guys, because I've already tested on the rubber mats, but I wanted to show you guys. I didn't videotape it, so I wanted to come out here today and videotape it to show you that if your horses are on rubber mats, that they aren't grounded. So it could just be something that you might want to pay attention to, and pay attention to how much they do actually get their feet out on the earth. And if they have problems going on, they might need more earth time, more grounding time. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And hope you have a great day. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.